Whew. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. This is the first thing Jesus says at the beginning of his Sermon on the Mount. When he goes up to a mountain and his disciples and other people follow him to hear what he has to say concerning the kingdom of heaven. This is where his first teachings begin. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. What does this look like in our day to day lives? Poor in spirit, by faith and experiences, coming to the understanding that you are spiritually empty and that no amount of good deed can ever fill that spiritual emptiness, and no other aspect of certainty can fill that emptiness. This is when a person comes to the universal understanding that they need God above everything else. That prioritizing God as a need, just as a poor person comes to the realization that they do not have enough money to take care of themselves, or not. And when Jesus says this, he's not saying that the poor are bad or underprivileged in the sense that they don't have money, but he says poor in spirit, meaning acknowledging our spiritual bankruptcy, that our poverty in the spirit is because we are attempting to put anything that isn't God as the center of our lives, because that huge gap in our souls was specifically designed to be filled only with God's Spirit. And recognizing your need for God's grace is the true beginning of inheriting the kingdom of heaven. Because Jesus says, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." He means blessed are those who have acknowledged that they need God in their lives and at the center of their hearts and at the center of their very being and at the center of all aspects of their existence. It's them coming to the recognition that just as a phone has a plug and only electricity can charge the phone, our our the phone has a circuit, an outlet, which can only be filled with a cable, which can only be connected to a cable that brings electricity into the phone. Jesus is the cable. Electricity is the Holy Spirit. Us, the phone, and all aspects of our functionality is us bringing God the Father into our lives. So, blessed are the poor in spirit. To be poor in spirit is to recognize that you can't feel anything in your soul except for God, because that empty slot in your soul was specifically designed for the Holy Spirit. And coming to that understanding is what Jesus says will get you into the kingdom of heaven. Because on a further passage, at a further passage in his other teachings, he says, "The kingdom of heaven shall not appear to which you shall say, it is here or it is there, for behold, the kingdom of heaven is within you." So, recognizing that the gap in your soul, which is being poor in spirit, and recognizing that that gap in your soul is specifically meant for the Holy Spirit to fill, is you recognizing who you are in Him and who He is in you. Is that you? It's an introduction to you recognizing where you actually belong and who you actually are. And that recognition is what will ultimately help you allow God in your life, in your heart, to be at that very center, at that very center of your very being. Because when the Holy Spirit sits at, in the slot where he rightfully belongs in our souls, the Holy Spirit opens the door to the Son, and the Son opens the door to the Father, and the Father is in the kingdom of heaven, and Jesus is sitting at God's right hand. So then we know that the kingdom of heaven is within us, which another thing Jesus says, the kingdom of heaven is within you, because the Holy Spirit is the one who opens the door to the Son, and the Son opens the door to the Father. Because Jesus says, without the Son, we cannot see the Father, in the sense that I am the light, the way, and the life. No one goes to the Father but through me. And no one can recognize Jesus being made manifest unto them without them acknowledging, without them accepting him in his heart. And him and the Father coming to make an abode in us is done by the Holy Spirit. So blessed are the poor in spirit, by experience, is recognizing that you have a gap in your soul and that no one and nothing else can fill it other than the Holy Spirit. Because that gap is evidence that we were born in a world that's disconnected with God. And us recognizing that we need God is us reconnecting back to Him by bringing Jesus into our hearts. So when we bring Jesus into our hearts, it is a promise that the Holy Spirit will live and thrive in us and will fill the gap in that soul, bringing life in abundance, just as it was said in Genesis 1 verse 1, where God turned all chaos round about into good and brought forth creation. And in each and every single time God created something, it is written that He created it and saw that it was good. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. By faith, I've come to the experience. It's that you recognizing that the Holy Spirit is the only one who can fill the gap in your soul, because the gap in our souls is evidence of our separation from God, is you allowing God to come into your life. And the Apostle Paul also specifies that the Holy Spirit writes letters into our hearts, and as God the Father also writes his laws in our hearts, for this is the transformation of the heart. So in this sense, just as in Genesis 1 verse 1, where God brought life into from a place of chaos, and He brought life and goodness and existence and beauty, and so too shall the Holy Spirit, who was hovering over chaos in Genesis 1 verse 1, who raised Jesus from the dead, that same Holy Spirit comes and makes a home in us and sits in our hearts. And when He makes a home in us, then the Son, Jesus Christ, also comes and makes a home in us. And Jesus Christ comes with the Father. And He says, Him and the Father shall come and make an abode with Him. He that loves Him keeps His commandments, and he that keeps His commandments, the Father shall love him. And Jesus and the Father shall come and make an abode with Him. So when the Holy Spirit sits in our souls, in that specific gap where we were supposed to have God in it, then Jesus and the Father also come and make an abode with them. They make space by removing all things unnecessary to our lives, because our body is a temple of God. And the Apostle Paul also talks about a refining flame that gets rid of ungodly things and keeps the godly things in your life, meaning aspects of your life that are destroying your relationship with God will be uncomfortably discarded off your life. And things that are, as a matter of fact, or have an opportunity to bring glory, honor, and praise unto the Father, these things remain. And the Father rewards you for cultivating a life that brings glory, honor, and praise unto him. So, again, by experience, I would say, when Jesus said, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven," this means coming to a recognition that you are spiritually empty, because you are born in a world that was disconnected from God, and you recognizing that allows you to embrace the Holy Spirit into your heart. And doing this, what does this look like in a practical basis? It looks like recognizing that you depend on God's grace in all aspects of your life, that you depend on God's grace in every single aspect of your life. As you walk each and every single step of the way, recognizing that you are in need of God, and God is close to the brokenhearted. So when the Holy Spirit sits in us, He makes space and beauty for the Son to come with the Father to make an abode with us, because God is moving in. See ya.